a business owner or professional, it is tempting to take your knowledge and expertise for granted. After all, this is what you do day in, day out, so it must be simple, right? Actually, it's not that simple. Your expertise is a skill owned by years of immersion and practice. And regardless of what field you're in, that expertise has value and you can sell that value. So how can you translate your unique knowledge and skill into a viable product that can be sold? And is there really an audience out there for the expertise you have to offer? So today we have a brand management expert in the studio to enlighten us on this topic, branding and monetizing your expertise. In person of Bolu Opaniran. Welcome to the studio, sir.
Thank you.
So nice to have you.
My pleasure.
All right, going by the topic of today, you know, when we hear about branding, monetizing your expertise, what you're good at, I believe that a lot of people have skills, they have potentials, but how to monetize it is a major problem for some people. So looking at it, what's your own view in that area?
Okay, I'll start out with relevance. So, and it means getting to have a skill that is relevant in our world, in our present world. And what I mean by relevance is a skill that is workable. I mean that people are in demand of and people are willing to pay for. So you must get that at the onset. So if you get that at the onset and you go for a skill that that is relevant, that is a skill people are willing and able to pay for, it will be easier for you to monetize it at later on. So you must get that perfect at the onset.
Okay, all right. So talking about skill, there's so many people with different skills. There's so many people with different talents. How can someone know the type of skill that he or she has, and how can such person develop it?
Okay, so skill is learned.
Okay.
I mean, you have to, of course, you have to have an innate potential.
Okay.
I mean, for that skill, but it is still learned. And no, even if you have a talent, you still have to improve that talent and ensure you get yourself to a level of expertise. So I think it is what the question should be is how can you get to know the potentials you have towards learning a skill. I think that would be the right question.
Okay.
Yes, you've asked it yourself.
You've asked it, so let's go.
Yes.
Because what I wanted to ask you is that how can you know if your skill or that talent, that potential you have is relevant? And there is one other thing that I know that is a major problem, especially to the younger ones right now who have a skill. Because if you are not known, there's no people can relate with you regardless of how good you are. So how can you make yourself known? How can you put yourself out there and make people see you, see what you have and embrace it?
Okay, I think we live in a world where the world is before us because of internet and the social media. So and the social media is a platform where anybody can go to. You don't need to have all the money. You don't need to have all the connection. I mean, over time, you still have to push yourself through social media. It might not come at once, but I think everybody can go there. And once people see that you have value, you communicate value, people are driven towards value, and over time it's going to pay off. So there's no restriction. In fact, I'm in brand management consulting, and I work for people outside the country. I service brands and institutions outside Nigeria with the head of social media. So no, I think we live in a world without walls. You get, and we can always maximize the leverage we have, which is social media. Time past, that is not available, but this is what we have for now, and it's paying off. So we can leverage on that.
Yeah. Right, so you sorry to cut you short. You talked about okay. What about volunteering? Because I believe that this also has a role to play in this context. How can we bring volunteering in? How can we aid this process?
Okay, so when you are trying to grow your skill, you need to test the I call it test the waters, because there's a level of expertise people are looking out for there, and you might not have it all at the beginning, at the onset. So like I started out as a graphic designer,
Okay.
and I needed platform, you get, because my skill was still very crude, and I just needed a platform to grow whatever I have learned. So volunteering helps you to improve yourself. At that point, you are not running after money, you are running after growth. You get. So volunteering, like in my church, I was designing, you get, and when NGOs, I was part of some. So those platforms helped me to improve the skill. And right now, I've left that stage. I'm still volunteering on some. I mean, in some aspects, but it's now a full-blown business that is even beyond what I started with.
Wow.
All right, so you just talked about platforms. You started with volunteering and all that. Are there other ways that one can use? Because there are so many people that want to monetize their skills, but they don't know how to start. There's this fear like that, like, how do I start? How do people begin to know me? What other platforms can such people use?
Okay, there is one thing that is, you might have an active value, and there's another thing known as passive value, and that is where branding comes in. Every one of us, we are a brand. You are a brand. You don't need to tag a name to yourself. When people see you, there's a perception they have of you.
Yeah.
So to monetize your skill, there's no real money. Money is even is a passive value, so to speak. So it's an exchange. It is used for an exchange. So whatever someone feels you are worth, that is what they pay you.
Yeah.
You get. So monetizing your skill, you must be able to communicate the value you believe you have. You get, because you might have the value, but you don't communicate it well. You get, and people will not get to know that you have the value. So you must be able to put yourself out there. And I think we talked about social media earlier. Social media, you shouldn't just be posting your pictures on social media. Communicate what you do, communicate what you are worth, communicate the platforms you've worked for, communicate your person, communicate your identity, communicate your brand. And I think when you consistently put out yourself, people, when there's a need of you, people we remember. So there will be a remembrance of you, and people will want to do something with you. That's how it works.
Okay, so I believe that for every profession there is a form of we have ups and downs, challenges, and all of that. I know that social media is a great tool in like putting yourself out there, how you can also monetize your skill. But I hear people say that you need the help of a brand influencer, like to help you like brand your service, what you do, to put you out there. Because I'll say that there are some people who have these skills, who have these potentials that even some known people do not have it. But the problem lies in the fact that they do not have like the financial capability to get a brand influencer to help project what they do.
I think in this part of the world, we take some things beyond measure. I won't deny the impact of brand influencers in promoting brands and different individuals, but I think even the failures of brand influencers these days are beginning. They've started to. There's a distrust. Distrust. Let me put it
Distrust.
Yes, in the face of everything brand influencers are doing right now, they just feel like they are just selling. They are just forcing us to buy whatever these guys are selling. You get. So I think you can still deny the overtime impact you have when you put yourself consistently out there. You can pay a brand influencer a big amount, and what the result it will give you might not be what you yourself
expected.
you work on over time. So I feel brand influencer, they have their place, but marketing is a 360-degree approach. You get there are different pieces of marketing. There are different actions you have to take. Influencers, using influencers is one of them. So you can't deny other things you have to do.
But it's not really compulsory for you to use a brand influencer.
It's not really compulsory. It's not really compulsory. The big brands do that because, most time they do that because they just want a validation, not really because they want sales. Not really because they want sales. They just want a presence. Not really because they want sales. So that's how it works.
All right, so can you just mention some of the skills that you think can be monetized? That several skills anyway there as a brand manager.
The one that is most relevant.
Most relevant. So I'll be talking of skills that you can that is relevant in today's world, and you can be useful wherever you are in the world. Okay. That is, you can do the virtual work and you are getting inflow on a steady. So copywriting is one of them. If you are a translator, is one of them. If you are a graphic designer, video editor, illustrator, scriptwriter, you get if you go on Google, all of these things they are just research based. So when you go there, just search for all these skills, and they are there in their numbers.
All right. So since you've mentioned these skills now, is it really necessary for me to really go for maybe courses, or it's just something I can just do on my own without having a...
Yes, there are some you can start out, and you can attend courses over time. Just like many of us, we have basic understanding of English. You can start out, because some of these skills also, they have an overtime impact on how well you do them. You get, so you have to start out where you are, attend courses, but the courses sometimes serve as validation and not necessarily about the work itself. So you need a continuous action and use of that skill, so that over time you have a level of mastery and proficiency in it.
Okay, now still talking about branding, because branding is so important. Like you said earlier, that everyone is a brand on its own. So now talking about branding, because it takes a lot for you to brand what you do. And I see some people that they have good branding, but their content is poor. Like they'll brand it well for you, that you feel attracted just by the way they are branded, what they do. But the content, their production is so poor. So how would you know if this service person wants to render to you is good and actually worth it or not? Because branding, the branding of that thing might get you attracted, and you won't even bother about the content. So talking about branding and content now.
Okay, so I think what you have just said is real value and passive value. That is, the content is the real value, the branding is the passive value. You see, perception will always override reality. Okay, because of course reality has its place. That is not to be waived. Reality has its place, but perception is what people get to meet first before they meet the reality. You get, most times. So I believe for a brand to be very strong, for a brand, a business, whatever, to have a strong stay for a long time and have a retention, in the minds of people, you must be able to put both side by side and work effectively on your active value and the passive value. If you have a very strong real value and your perceived value is not very strong, people will not still come. It might you might get it over time, but it will be a long time. But if you want a quick buzz in the market, you need to consistently work on the two. That is, people should have a strong perception of you. They should have that mindset that you are the best. And when they encounter your product or service, that should seal up whatever their perception of you is. So that's just it. So the two must go side by side.
All right, thank you so much. On a final note, what would you like to say to people, the younger ones who are just starting up? You know, ASU is on strike right now, and most of our students, most of them are at home doing nothing, and some of them have some skills, some potentials. Like, how can they start up? What was the first step? Just highlight in just a few seconds an advice to those watching.
Okay, I think something happened to me in the past that seemed like a disadvantage, but right now I see it in a different light. I stayed at home 3 years before I got into an institution, and those 3 years I was able to learn a skill, and when I got into school, the skill was very useful. Even to how I fended for myself.
Cashing out from
yes, to how I was able to develop the skill and all of that, and built a community around the skill and all of that. So I feel for everyone at home right now watching, maybe you're a student, a parent, or what have you, I think we should see disadvantage in advantage in disadvantage. When there are disadvantages, we should see them in a different light.
Nice.
You get so. This is we have a strike right now.
Yeah.
So instead of you sitting down at home, going on social media and all of that, there are different online courses you can attend. I mean, even you can learn anything virtually right now. Practically anything. And some of us, like me, I improve with whatever I've learned. I'm not really a virtual learner. You get, but I can improve whatever I've learned one-on-one virtually. So if you know your kind of person, you can go to centers, institutions where they teach all of these things. And when your school resumes, you can jump back.
Yes, you can always use that to feed yourself and cash out from it.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much for coming on the show.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, this is the much we can take on the interview segment. Yeah, that was Bolu, a brand management consultant, speaking on how you can brand your expertise and monetize it as well. He spoke about you volunteering, taking a step. Do not sit at home, especially to students. Yeah, the ASU strike is still on. You can make use of this opportunity to learn a skill, soft skill, on on the internet. You can go on Google, just type in whatever soft skills you feel like you can learn. And who knows, that might take you to the greener pasture. All right, let's take a short break. We'll be right back.